We need to go to the hospital. I jumped out of bed, grabbed my clothes and camera bag, and ran to the garage, only to realize that I wasn't dressed. I didn't have my keys, and my wife had not gotten out of bed. I eventually returned to bed, and 3 hours later, after fitful, terrified half-slumber, we rose to go to the hospital. The day is a blur. After an agonizing process, I gazed at my infant daughter and was swallowed by something that is impossible to explain. I was instantaneously in love. Never in my life, other than at the birth of my other 2 children, have I been so completely and thoroughly caught up in the passion and glory of life. If someone that instant had demanded I give my life for my child, it would have been the one most completely selfless and effortless act of my life. My first lesson, and how can it be called that without trivializing the moment, was that a love existed in me that was raw, pure, and ferocious. My daughter's dark, delicate eyes consumed me in their beauty. I was besotted. But what infused me with such overwhelming love just at that moment? I was not so surprised by instantaneously loving my daughter, but I was stunned by its magnitude. I was invaded by love, a love that felt both alien to and exactly like me, but a me that I'd never considered myself to be. All of that came at the same instant that my thoughts were lost in my infant daughter's gaze. It dawned on me at that moment, this child and my children to come will teach me more than I could possibly hope to ever teach them. Since that moment, my life has never been the same. It never will be the same for all eternity, and I have my children to thank. Here's the core premise of this book. Thank God for your children, because they are the ones who grow you up into spiritual maturity. Far more than being concerned about how to correct or convert or counsel your children, thank God for what your children are teaching you. To the degree that your heart is overwhelmed with gratitude for your children, they will gain the core education they need most, the knowledge that they are truly loved, treasured, and delighted in. Only a genuinely thankful parent can invest in his or her children the conviction that they are the focus of unconditional love. There is one slight problem, however. There are many, many times I am not grateful for my children. I suppose, in some really big ontological, metaphysical sense, I am grateful, even at those moments. At our core, most parents are deeply grateful for our children, but it only takes one fretful night of vomiting, a suddenly due Sunday night science project, a lie, a shoplifting incident, a crisis pregnancy, or a child's determined flight from God to cause us to forget our gratitude. When our children shame us, it is far easier to be detached. At worst, it is possible to turn against them with blame, anger, and even rejection. Most of the time, we are grateful for our children without being particularly aware of it. There are other times when our joy and gratitude beam in full splendor. And then there are times when we ask ourselves, what were we thinking? At the outset, most of us don't consider the emotional and spiritual cost of being parents. And even if we were able to ponder the price, it would be impossible to fathom the kind of journey we were embarking on. After our first bundle of joy was born, the most complicating reality Becky and I faced was how to move all the paraphernalia, car seat, stroller, diaper bag, toys, clumsy video apparatus from our home to our various destinations. These are mere logistical bumps in the road, and small bumps at that. Most parents can't even begin to imagine how their children will change them all the way down to the core of who they are. I know I never suspected it. A few years ago, I had the privilege of speaking at a crisis pregnancy fundraiser and heard an amazing story about a father being transformed through his daughter. At the time, I was exhausted with my kids and weary with life. As is often the case when I want to quit, God offers me a fresh vision and new hope through another person's story. This particular story turned my heart from the question, what was I thinking, to a new question, what is it, God, that you want? That day at the Crisis Pregnancy Center, I heard the life-transforming story of a wonderful, miraculous, ordinary man named David. I haven't been the same since. David grew up in the South before the full advent of the civil rights movement, and segregation was a way of life. He attended a segregated school, drank from whites-only water fountains, and went to movies in a theater that required the black kids to sit in a rickety balcony while the white boys and girls were seated on the main floor.